Okay,
before
so
you get
beginning
to.
with the construction of each stormwater management system and continuing in perpetuity, the owners of the site shall
And
maintain
instead of,
roadways.
say, and continuing until the town takes ownership,
Right.
instead of in perpetuity, the owners of the shed shall maintain in accordance with the schedule below, period. After the town accepts the stormwater management system and runways, the town,
Well, couldn't we say, and other relevant site features until the town takes them over, in accordance with the following schedule?
sure, but then I wanna just make sure that the town has to compile the schedule once they take it.
Can you write it down? Because I've heard you say it a couple times, and I'm not sure, I'm still not sure where it fits into this text and exactly how that works.
Let me see, beginning with the construction of each stormwater management system and continuing until,
Can you say owner/town? That doesn't-
If you add it down at the bottom after drainage system and you leave the rest alone, it's a little bit easier, cause it still
Because
is
we wanna
in
keep that perpetuity.
And you're changing way too much of the sentence to follow.
what are you suggesting, Chuck?
So, the roadway drainage system, so shall maintain the roadway drainage system until the town accepts the roadway and, stormwater management system. And then we got lost at then, after the town accepts the subdivision roadway and stormwater management system, it falls on them to maintain it or something. I think that's right.
Sounds like we should have a separate sentence for
The town.
a lot of this.
Yeah, well, I understand what you guys want, I'll add something that the town needs to, take over, and then it's their responsibility to do, I mean, street sweeping, they do.
Do you wanna say after schedule? You
I just
put
don't
it-
think I'm not gonna get any, reports from it.
No, well, we'll put it,
We'll put it here, I know we won't get them if we don't ask.
but if you put a period after schedule, and then the next sentence is,
I mean, think about this, if we require a private developer to do all these things, and then it's to tell the town they don't have to,
No, I think we should tell the
But I
town
think-
that they have to.
but I don't see how
Didn't mean not to put it in there.
we can effectively work with somebody who says, yeah, I'll do it, but don't expect it ever to get done. You know, I think that's,
But guess what? The reality is, that's what we have to work with, okay?
it is the
The
reality.
reality is, that's the reality, okay? And
No.
what will happen is, under the new stormwater management regs, the town is gonna have to shape up,
Right.
okay? And we
Yeah.
will soon have a stormwater management fee that approaches our water bill. There's no question about it, because, damn it, that's what's gonna happen.
Um,
By which time I'll take up drinking spirits as opposed to force.
Does it make sense, rather than listing out all of the details, to say that when the town accepts the road, that it shall comply with the terms of an MS4 permit? And then you just default to the MS4.
Well, we don't know what's on the MS4.
At this stage, they haven't drafted the final reg.
But they'll have to conform with it.
So they
They
draft.
don't have to comply with it anyway.
But
Well,
why
no,
don't you
they,
just say,
they
well,
draft things that they try to do, and then they have things that they actually get done, so that's kinda how it works. So this could be on their list, but not gotten to, but it's on the MS4 permit.
Well,
Do you want us to wait and get the MS4 permit and read that? Oh, okay, so
no,
maybe we
no,
should
I
just
think,
kinda work
no,
on this.
I was gonna suggest that you write this to say, that upon acceptance, the town will do this, or, the terms of an MS4 once it goes into place, so that you're not having a conflict between this and an MS4. Just a thought.
that's wonderfully forward thinking, but I'm not sure the town's.
I think George he said he wanted to, when they rewrite the new one, they're going to try to work this into it, work these kind of structures into it and maintenance.
Maybe we should just, maybe instead of dabbling with 31, we could put in the finding that the town it is understood from the town engineer that the town will
Until the
Over-
town accepts
well,
the roadway and,
accept responsibility of,
yeah. So what about, until the town accepts the roadway and the stormwater maintenance system, thereafter, the operation and maintenance is the responsibility of the town,
That sounds fine.
In accordance with what's listed here.
in accordance with, A through whatever it is.
okay,
In, number E, we're asking for a whole bunch of stuff to happen with these infiltration systems during the first 2 years of operation.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, and that's.
Is that what you were talking about, what
Yeah.
George said?
I mean, if we really want 2 years of information, now, completely agree that these things are overbuilt, and if they're working fine.
with very little.
So, yeah, there's usually no problems.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we need 2 years, but we'd certainly be great to get 1 season out of it.
Yeah,
Last two, maybe we'll get one.
Well, if we ask for 2, we have to make it the sole responsibility of Al, because the town has basically told me they're not going
No, I
to
think we can.
go out there and do
We
this.
do it based on 1 year, and we understand that the town will do what the town will do,
Mhm.
and when the MS4s come in, the town will have to behave differently. I mean, we,
Well, if some enterprising citizen wanted to take the town to task for not complying with the order of conditions, they could do that.
that's right.
They could find a good lawyer.
Once he retired.
yeah.
It's gonna be your retirement, John, Jamie?
Probably.
Well, just,
You wanna change that to 2, to 1, the first year then? Or leave it at 2?
leave it at 2 and let's hope that we can get you, I mean, what are we talking about here? Because we're letting George change the MS4 permit?
He didn't have much say over that.
I mean, I think it's clear that it's not, the way it's written, it's not gonna be Al's responsibility as soon as the town takes over the road.
Yeah.
Right.
So whether, if that happens within 1 year, then that's fine. Someone else's responsibility.
Okay,
But we want these things to happen in perpetuity.
Well, this has a time limit of just 2 years.
Yeah, that does, but I meant the whole.
Yeah, it's
Monitoring
it's a little upsetting that the town is willing to accept something and then just forget about it. You know, just, hey, we'll do it. We're not planning on maintaining it. It's almost would be better if we didn't allow that.
why don't, so Chuck, you have, until the town accepts the roadway and stormwater maintenance system,
Thereafter, the town accepts the responsibility to the operation and maintenance plan in perpetuity.
okay, okay. I'm okay with that, any objections? No? Okay. Any, comments or questions about letters A through D?
A through D, I bet A through I.
Well, I want to, then I'll flip the page, E through I, or E through I. Let it rip. I'm moving on to. Okay, any other questions on page 20?
So I added something to, just for your edification, 33B. I did notice that on some of our, as-built plans that the granite bounds were not noted on them, so I added that in. These
Okay.
need to be part of the as-built.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's pretty essential.
Did you put the signs on top?
You can if you want.
We,
I,
are those other ones still out there?
Yeah.
I think they're not, I think they're a nice selling
I
point.
think they're nice.
I still look over them all on, they'll be there 20, 30 years.
if you wanna go take that step, I encourage you.
There's
Well,
the,
Chuck supplied them to me,
these the blue ones?
yeah.
Oh, are we
We
gonna
have
charge
3 to
them for
choose
them?
from, I think those, what's that?
We're gonna charge them, we only have 3,000 left, we're getting short.
I thought we should have charged them. That money could have
I
gone
voted for
towards,
charging it.
some sheet paper to make up some, you know, I don't know, stormwater
Peter-
visitation logs or something.
Peter DeGenero bought all these for us after Sunset Rock Lane.
You know, as a matter of fact, not only do we have 3,000 left, that pile is not going down at all.
They reproduce.
We need
What
to,
happens when you
we
put
need
it
to
on,
approve
they
more
reproduce.
developments, get rid of the size.
So,
Are we on page 21?
Well, the
We're
Boy
on
Scouts can
21
use
and I'm
it.
on A1. And we have
Well,
25.
before we get there, the narrative for Reading General Bylaws, section 7.1. Now, we changed the numbering system in the bylaws, and on the previous order of conditions, I corrected this. Now, I can't remember if 7.1 is the old one or the new one.
it's a new one,
It is the new one.
5.7.
It used to be 5.7.
Okay, all right.
7.1.
After
Um,
11:30, is there a waitress that comes around?
Yes,
That'd be
yes.
nice.
Yes.
And a masseuse.
The sewer?
Oh, it's just last call.
Oh, do we have the clause in here about cutting down trees between,
There's some trees saved.
There was a 40-foot oak in the middle of the cul-de-sac.
Ah,
yeah, the clause about some people,
Right.
Yes.
no healthy trees shall be cut down.
Yep.
Is that anywhere?
No.
No.
Maybe it should go near in A1, when you're talking about the ZNV.
A1, list of additional conditions?
Well, A2, it talks about agree to preserve and
Okay.
Well, we
maintain in
have it,
perpetuity.
that could be taken out of Azalea Circle, which it was
Yep.
used in,
Right.
and
That
then
would be-
placed in the exact same spot,
That'd be
even if
great.
it's in 2 on this one here.
That'd be great.
Okay.
We don't have that.
Prohibition
It
of
just-
cutting
it
healthy
just-
and mature trees between the deck.
It's
between
in the
houses.
25-foot zone, yeah.
In the 25-foot zone?
resource.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
No,
fine. 'cause
And
there's
it,
no-
Well,
there's
it's-
the problem is, it's a constraint on the future owners. That's the issue. The issue is not, you guys understand it, but the issue is it's a constraint on the future owners,
Right.
because frequently, you know, they think, oh, I own it, I'm gonna cut it all down. I want more lawn.
Right. Well,
After all, where am I gonna put my John Deere otherwise?
Oh, it's reasonable to set
Yeah.
a permanent limit on
Right.
clearing at the 25-foot line,
Right,
and
right,
people
right.
have to accept it.
Since this is subdivision roadway, do you wanna put a,
Where are you?
Yeah, you're gonna save the big oak tree in the middle of the cul-de-sac, right?
yep, there's a
Right.
40-inch diameter tree.
40-inch oak.
And would that be a list of additional conditions?
Yeah, make that A5.
Yeah, but they're over here, they're on
Yeah.
Yep.
5.
Um,
40-inch DH oak. Will be retained, will be left in place in the center of the cul-de-sac and landscaped around. In a way to protect its,
You're getting too
Alpha
wordy
spread.
there.
Don't get.
take it,
You're getting punchy.
pick
It's
whatever words you
11:30.
want.
All right, one quick comment
That's the check.
on A2, we're missing a closed quote. So on A2, page 22, fourth line down. So this restriction shall survive the issuance of any certificate of compliance, period, close quote.
Right.
So the period comes after certificate of compliance on line 4 of page 22.
Yeah, the period's already there, what you're missing was the close
Close
quote.
quote.
Because that's the language you're saying to put into D.
Right.
Work like that.
Okay.
Can we talk about A3?
Yeah, that didn't work.
What doesn't work?
If we set aside the bond of $20,000 for the whole subdivision, yet there are 3 orders of conditions, when do we release that bond? Do all 3 have to be completed, or just this one?
Yeah, I was thinking how I could put that together, whether it would be a certain amount on each one, would it be one for the whole site?
I think it has to be, if we have different order of conditions, it has to be separate for each one.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's easy to do, but, you
Right.
know, without discussion, I didn't know what to put there, so.
What, how much on each one?
So I don't, yeah, so,
But it
You-
seems to me that lot 2 and lot 3 are both very similar projects and should therefore probably have a similar price for a bond. 'Cause they're
so we
both-
usually do $20,000, or we've done $15,000 once. So if you think that that's the number you wanna achieve, then
Divide those.
you could divide those. But, I'll tell you, most of the work that we would be concerned about is only on 2 lots.
Right,
Right.
And what we're really concerned about
Right.
is kind of stabilizing the site, because we wouldn't build this thing,
Yeah.
so.
right.
The concern I had is, number one, Al's gonna have the planning board bond on top of this, and wondering what your bond is going to do that's really separate from that, but the bigger question is, if all he's doing is work in the buffer zone, you're gonna have a limit of work line set, what are we providing a performance bond for? It's not like we're doing a wetland replication where we're crossing a stream and then you actually have work that you need to get done to replicate a wetland.
Well, the stormwater management system is the only thing.
Well, but the stormwater management system is absolutely part of the planning board plan, that's part of the subdivision roadway.
So it should be
system.
site stabilization, and then if then it would be long-term site stabilization if there was a huge problem, and then the stormwater management system would be our responsibility. Those boards would turn to us for that kind of, discussion. And then as far as not asking for a bond, we've done that in the past. We've tried to piggyback on other people's bonds, and we've been forgotten about at the end. So if we want a bond, we're not gonna piggyback on someone else's. We should just set a price that we can, or an amount that we
But-
can, agree
Well,
with.
I know,
The Conservation Commission has the biggest hook, the biggest enforcement mechanism that you could ask for, and that's the certificate of compliance. It's, what I've always been puzzled by with performance bonds by Concom.
So in this town, the certificate of compliance, you can get your occupancy permit in this town years in advance of your certificate of compliance. That means people can be living in those houses.
But you can't sell the property.
But yeah,
No. We have no certificates of compliance on Pulte Homes. Not one. So,
They've all sold.
they're all sold. And people are living in them.
Pulte Homes is all apartments, isn't it?
No, there's condos there.
well, it's condos, so you have a condominium association, that's very different. If you have a condominium association that is responsible for the common area, then yeah, of course you can have condos sold without having a certificate of compliance, because the condominium association is responsible for everybody. The individual condos don't have any interest in the land itself. All they're buying is individual units. These are 3 single-family house lots. With today's conveyancing standards and the requirements for getting a loan, you're not selling one of these houses without having a certificate of compliance or a really big
Actually, that's
Fund-
why
funding
we
escrow.
see these ones coming back from 10, 15 years ago. Because they were sold before when it was a lot easier to get a mortgage now.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on.
I mean, I
Title
wouldn't have any,
examiners are,
given the site, I wouldn't have any problem with reducing the bond substantially. When we propose $5,000.
Okay, so we're just talking the roadway.
Can I say that, on Bethune, the bond for the conservation work was actually line itemed on the planning board bond. And we spoke earlier that the planning board bond goes out for 12 full months, after the project is complete, which would give Chuck, you know, a ton of time to make sure that everything has, you know, been cut at least twice and stable.
But that's exactly what my problem was and why I'm bringing this up to the board is because, to the commission, because all along your project on Forest Street, the engineering department said we're partners with them on that bond and we're gonna ask you, you know, when we reduce it, if you would be, accepting that amount. And I told them the amount that we wanted to leave behind. And,
What was that amount?
20 grand.
They left 60. They would spend $60,000 for 14 months in that bond.
But George was not paying attention to my needs with that bond.
Well, there wasn't
He
anything
was
wrong.
really concentrating on his own needs.
But there wasn't anything wrong, right? You didn't go to him and say, hey, I got a problem with this.
You know, yeah, you're right. I mean, that part is true. I mean, there was something there, but I would have had to go to another department and say, look, put a hold on a certain amount of this bond that we weren't in control of. And that was a situation that became not acceptable towards the end of that project. Not for anything you've done, but it was more or less that we weren't in control of it in case something was needed.
I
He-
can't, I mean,
that
for all you're saying about
$60,000 was-
George, I can't imagine that you would, if we got to a point in this project where something was wrong, and I was applying for a bond reduction, if you went to George and said, George,
Well, you're not
listen,
asked
I
to
got a
put
problem
down
over here,
5
I don't
grand.
want
It's
you to release
10%
this
of
money,
5
he's not
grand.
gonna release it. Right? I mean, if you go down to his office and say, I got a problem, don't release any money, he's gonna
No,
call you.
I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if I think my recollection of that project, which was months ago, was the fact that he wouldn't hold it for me because that, he needed it for his own purposes. So the conservation, like typically I hear from, the building department, we're not gonna hold up an occupancy permit for grass. And I think George had said something very similar.
right, and they shouldn't hold up an occupancy permit for grass. Occupancy permit under the building code is something completely different.
Exactly, but that actually weighs into why we wait for 21 years or we wait for a couple of years to get our certificate of compliance, because people are actually living in the houses, because they have their occupancy.
Yeah, but what we're saying is that when I go to have a conveyance in this day and age, the first thing an attorney does is hire a title examiner. The title examiner sees the order, this is why we record an order of conditions on the plan. The title examiner sees the order of conditions on the plan and comes back to me and says, hey, what are you gonna do about that order of conditions? We're not buying this house till it's addressed. So usually I have to put money in escrow, I have to promise to do something, it's always addressed. And the fact that it's on that deed is what Matt was saying, is your hook, that's why it's in place. That's your strongest card, that it's recorded on the deed.
And if you find that somebody hasn't gotten the certificate of compliance and they've done something wrong, you issue an enforcement order to the new owner, and the new owner has already been put on notice.
Is that a violation not to have a certificate of compliance?
No, I'm saying if there's actually something in violation. I mean, to answer your question, yeah, it is in violation. The standard general conditions in DEP's.
It's not the responsibility of the
No,
the commission to notify the owner that they need to file for a certificate of compliance. It's right
not your-
there in the.
You're right, Chuck. It's
Okay.
not your responsibility to notify them. People should act on this on their own. When they buy the house, their lawyer should pick up that there's an open order of conditions, and they should insist that a certificate of compliance get issued. Sometimes, I guess, mistakes it happen. You just asked, so what happens if someone actually moves in there? What's your enforcement mechanism? It is a violation of the general conditions. I can't remember which one it is, in the standard form, that you're not allowed to let an order lapse to expire without seeking your certificate of compliance. You have to seek the certificate after the work is completed. So if somebody hasn't done it and you haven't gotten notice that the certificate has been sought and you can issue an enforcement order to the homeowner. They own it now, they need to follow through.
Right, we've never done that.
But you have the authority
I
to.
don't agree.
I suggest that we put $10,000 bond for the roadway, which is this one, and then the other houses we can discuss when we get to that.
I just don't see the need, I'm covered on so many other bases, it's just kind of redundant, I think, but.
Yeah, but I can see Chuck's point about having control over it, 'cause, I don't know.
You already have control over it.
Well, we have control over a certificate of compliance.
You have control over the project, and anytime he sees anything wrong, he's gonna give me a stop work order, I'm gonna have to come here. I mean, anything that goes wrong gets addressed immediately.
Right, I know.
Nothing ever goes by the wayside.
I wanna get back to the bond though. Jamie proposed, was that $10,000 bond for the subdivision?
For the
No.
roadway.
For the roadway.
Roadway, you
For the
get that
roadway.
subdivision language.
Okay, what's the sense of, the commission? I don't have a problem with $10,000 for the roadway.
Somebody seconded it?
Well, I'm just wondering, what are we talking about theoretically, what the entire subdivision would roll up to?
Well, it would be, I would think, a lesser amount for the other houses.
5 each or something, or are we talking something like that?
There's, but, I like the fact that you're asking for some money, but I would almost think that lot 3 and 2 would need more money because of their proximity to the wetlands. The fact that there's a lot more work on them, but
But
I'm
the
happy
subdivision,
with,
But the stormwater management system,
Yeah.
which is what I'm concerned with, is part of this. For the houses, there's really nothing that.
but it's,
How's it
the
on-
stormwater, storm drains are in the cul-de-sac of the subdivision, which is actually not even in the 100-foot buffer zone. So, it's just the, infiltration system, which is located on lot 2.
between 3 and 2.
It seems,
None of the road is in the 100-foot buffer zone.
Yeah,
Right,
the
right,
only-
it's
Zero.
just the drainage
it's
that
just
comes
the
off the
drainage
road.
system. I mean, it seems to me that of any part of this subdivision project that you would have the least bit of concern about, making sure that it's done properly, it's the drainage system for the roadway.
Which is covered
So,
under.
yeah,
well, in a way, it does
the
start
idea that,
to,
yeah, Chuck just tossed out, he thinks that you should be seeking an even bigger.
we could just add a line, $10,000, which would include not only the roadway, but the infiltration system.
Yeah,
The infiltration system is part of this order of
Yes, it
conditions.
is.
right,
Yes.
right.
If somebody wants to propose another number, that's fine. But I think 20 seems steep.
Okay.
Yep. So, I'm in favor of 10,000. Any other,
And this is just for this, the road?
Just for this,
just for this?
As I understand it, this includes the entire stormwater management plan.
But we're talking that 2 and 3 are closer to the wetland. We're talking about asking for less from them.
Well, no, 2 and 3 are between this drainage system and the road,
Yeah.
effectively. Or we could just keep it at 20,000, I mean,
Realize
what's,
what they're selling those houses for.
I think
What's the sense of
10,000
commission?
Why don't you make a motion, Amy?
I so moved that we require bond of $10,000 for the order of conditions for DP 270/0627.
Second.
Okay, there's a second, all those in favor?
That's it, isn't it?
Yes,
Um,
we have to vote on the order of conditions.
That's true.
There's,
Move we issue the order of conditions as amended this evening.
okay, all those in favor?
I don't think I reached.
Well, I'd like to hear a motion to continue the other two hearings for lot 2 and 3.
I'll make a motion.
Well,
Hold on. I respectfully request that we close the hearing. By closing the hearing, you can continue your deliberations, you can send emails with additional proposed revisions to the draft orders, and you have 21 days to actually issue. The evidentiary part of the hearing should be closed.
I don't have any objections.
Well, before we do that, did any commissioners plan to go ahead and look for those vernal pools?
but I think we've already established, or at least I thought we'd established, that the ORAD was what governs these orders.
No, I'm in agreement with that, but I think that if one of the planning commissioners is gonna go ahead and look for vernal pools, we should leave the hearing open. If they're not, if it's a closed issue, I think we ought to close it. I'm not gonna go ahead and look for them.
I sometimes wonder, in this location, I'm not sure, going straight up that wall and into where Al's building, those houses, is gonna be habitat. I mean, I don't know,
No, I don't,
so it doesn't,
and
somehow it doesn't make sense to me how, when I think about it. So,
because they're not disturbing the wetlands.
it's
I
unfortunate
think
that we
that-
didn't get the question earlier, but.
I think the owners over on
Process.
Zachary Lane seem to think the wetlands are being filled in.
I think if in a worst case scenario, if there is a vernal pool between that river and the back slope, what's the habitat upland that's gonna be impacted by the development at this point? Because we're pretty far from,
Well, the only
Creating
problem-
some
you
habitat,
know,
because
and
blue spotted salmon has been found in sprinkler heads. in
No, I
that
just think
area.
that the argument is the ORAD argument, and I don't wanna get into, well, I
Yeah.
advise you not to get into discussing the vernal pool, since we have another one that's pretty, that you're trying to maintain 100 feet away from the vernal pool. So I think the ORAD argument works the best for situations.
If
I
you
don't
want
agree,
to
but-
close the public hearing for 92 Sanborn Lane,
subdivision roadway?
627.
67.
627, 625, 626.
Second.
So you're proposing to close 625 and 626
Yeah.
And
at this
627.
point,
And
because,
627.
You know, you
I
probably
did
wanna
I would
close them separately,
prefer
I think that would be
to
more proper.
see, well, there was an additional item that I wanted to make sure got into the order of conditions for lots 2 and 3.
It's
Well, we
okay.
can still do it.
It's okay, you still
It's
do
all
that.
right,
All right,
we can go back and forth. We ought to probably, Chuck's right, should close them one at a time, take a vote on each one, just for the
Okay.
orderly
Yeah,
process. So
yeah.
627, I second.
okay, all those in favor of closing? Okay,
Thank you, Al.
I propose we close the order of the hearing for 626.
I'll second that
is
one.
there a second? Okay, all those in favor? Okay,
I propose we close the order for 0625.
okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Okay.
Okay,
Al,
Thank you.
vote now?
So, hopefully we'll, get Chuck working on the other two, so when we come to the next meeting, everyone will have seen them and corresponded, and they'll be hopefully done and just ready to sign, and
Sure hope so.
we won't hold you up till midnight
so
again.
it'll be,
No, you didn't hold us up to that. We held you up to that.
And if you get all the changes we made here, you can incorporate and incorporate in the other two.
I think this
Yeah.
being the template,
Other than trees stayed on lot 3,
well,
I
that's
don't
it.
think there were any on lot 2.
it was 7 trees to be added within a 100-foot limit on lots 2 and 3. Do you want me
But
to
does
repeat that?
change-
You wanna identify-
Lot three had one.
Well, I mean,
Identify.
for example, that environmental monitor, that should be taken out of 2 and 3.
Sure, well, once this is modified,
Oh, yeah.
this will be the starting place for the rest of lots 2. They could be the starting place for lots 2 and 3. Or maybe you've already worked on lots 2 and 3.
Yeah,
But
I would
whatever,
change-
however you wanted to.
I change this and then add whatever specific,
Okay.
details were in 2 and 3 and then go from there. And I'll send it out to the board.
Okay.
All right?
One item we should talk about before we adjourn is that, Azalea Circle, Azalea,
Overall Sound Street?
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank you.
no, off Pearl Street, or,
Yeah,
behind Pearl Street.
Same.
Same.
Well, the,
Remind me
the
where
fill
that
that we had over the winter, they took the fill out.
She likes it. It's gonna be a board meeting
Azalea's
next
off
time.
Sound Street near
Gavin.
Gavin, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where do we stand on that? Because we had some quite upset abutters 2 weeks ago, and we made them some promises, and nothing's happened.
I haven't thought
We
of
haven't been updated, there's been no action out there.
So you guys could put it on the next site visit?
Well, I think we need to issue a letter. I mean,
We've been over backwards to
What-
try to
we-
collaborate. We now need to say,
we need to,
we need to have a plan by the next meeting and we're coming out.
yeah, there'd be another enforcement off, because, I mean,
So,
spring's
take a
here.
look.
Can you send that letter? Chuck?
so we're looking for action. I think, do you wanna give us an update on 29 Gavin? I thought we got something, I mean, we
Chuck
got the
just
details.
said-
Just from the butter that nothing had happened, but
Okay,
I can send a letter just asking for them to, establish a date when they're gonna come back in here, or I could have a letter that says, you must show up at the next meeting and tell us, present.
Yeah,
Something
have
like
them
that.
come to the next meeting.
There was a
They were well
timeline,
There was a
they're way off
timeline.
it.
Yeah,
They're way off, they've blown the pun.
before we
Yeah.
go,
to discuss fines.
Or our enforcement order, at least, they already use them.
before we go, I wanted to, approve the minutes, just for the sake of,
Move to approve the minutes?
I'm remiss, I don't think I've read them. Has anybody read them?
I read them.
Yeah.
I didn't
Okay.
have anything.
Didn't see anything either.
Any second?
is there a second? All those in favor? That's approved. Okay, thanks. Any other business
Just
we need to vote
37
on?
James, just come up with a plan, and, it's gonna be in your next application. They do wanna meet with the commission, all this work is free from everyone involved. There's only been some money spread around for newspapers, notices and whatnot, but, so RJ O'Connell would like to have some meetings with the commission, or with one member of the commission, to,
Who's R.J. O'Connor?
they're the, engineering firm that's bringing this forward.
Yeah,
So it-
they, originally, they actually agreed to take on the whole project, including the environmental stuff, and they've got an environmental guy on it. They didn't they do some of the work?
Perfectos, yeah, and then they pulled out of Perfectos.
Right. They were doing a good job.
Where were they? What, Stoneham?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
What's the name of that street, whatever that is.
and the 1102 Main Street, is that,
The way I see 1102 Main Street, which is the site next to the
Eric's.
artist
yeah,
development, is the artist needed additional space for some reason, so the guy needed to move his driveway.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be a new section of driveway and then, some additional work next to the driveway. They wanna combine it to the Eric's order of condition.
Yep.
My reluctance to that, and I've actually told them that I don't agree, this is a separate site,
Property. It's a separate property.
yeah.
It's a budding, but it's a separate.
Oh,
So-
should be another filing.
Another filing, they're looking to just amend the plan.
Yeah, if it's off
Who
site.
would file? The landowner or artist?
Well, artist is gonna pay the bill for whatever has to happen. So the land, this is the part of their project is to
Yeah.
have this happen, so artists would have to pay the bill.
In which case, although it's a different piece of property, it seems to me it's the same bill payer and having them file.
Could be done under a minor
Well,
project.
is there anything there you want to, well, I guess you could
Right, next.
review it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'd be a minor project.
minor plan change. I mean, I think, when I looked at it initially, and I thought it through, it seemed to me, since Artis is doing it, it seems to me that it is a minor plan change in there, even though it's a different piece of property.
Well, we knew there
Because
would
in
be.
fact, we knew that there would be some changes to that piece of.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
And that it's close to that stream.
If we have it all under one permit, it gives us a little more
Well,
control.
it gives us a lot more control because the guy with the deep pockets is
Right.
the one to final.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand your view about having it as a separate project, but in fact, it's really there only because Artis is doing its thing. And if they're gonna pay the bill, I figure you go after the guy with the big pockets. So,
Yeah,
minor
yeah,
plan change,
I-
that's how I'd see it.
Okay. No, I-
Close to the meeting.
Is that true? We've had that discussion, but we've never done it.
So I figure we can sign this order at the next meeting since we've just closed all of them. He said we have a 21-day timeframe.
Any other business? Hearing none, okay, we're adjourned.
Under five